to the Word Way podcast. My name is Summer.
Hey, Mark here.
And this is Denise.
And we're talking today about relaxation and self-care. So, for me, my main thing for relaxation, I say like scents. I think scents create like a vibe, you know? So aromatherapy is big to me. And so like when you relax, you want a scent for that. When you wake up in the morning, you want a scent for that. So in the morning, I like to use like a citrusy smell because I think that like wakes you up, you know? And then when I'm studying, stuff like that, mint, eucalyptus, you know, get you focused. And then at night, lavender, chamomile. So I think, you know, just having that routine, like it helps you lock into those different moments. And that helps you relax.
I like that. I never considered. I knew aromatherapy
think
had a thing, and it was a thing. And you know, every now and again when I think about it, you know, I do it. But I never considered a scent for each time.
Yes.
I had one. I had one. It's peppermint. I was always on. You know, no matter what I was doing. So I like that. That's really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it helps you relax, like internally, and like, you know, you don't even notice that it's making you lock into those feelings. I think it's good.
Yeah, I guess if you do certain things, when you have certain sense as well, it just kind of gets you in that zone for whatever you would usually be doing.
I think it's called like olfactory memory or something. Your nose memory. It's just that's your strongest memory is your nose memory. So having those locked in, you can lock in your brain like, oh, I smell this. It's time for me to relax. Oh, I smell this. It's time for me to study. So I think that's good.
I like that. What about you, Mark?
For someone like me, I can kind of fall into the trap of going a little too like workaholic. So sometimes it's good to remember that like relaxation is also a part of getting things done. So it helps to either like schedule in time to relax, or if you have like a certain time of the day where you like to get things done, whether it's morning or nighttime, you can try to grind things out then. That way you can have time to catch up on your shows or play games or whatever you want to do whenever you have the time later.
Yeah.
I
agree
like
with
that because totally identify with the workaholic, and it's like always being busy, and never taking time to relax.
Yeah.
And for me, when I purposely relax, I'm either going to sleep or I like to sit down and just play like a game on my phone. I have, you know, they have like the matching games or even the how do you say, the mind games to help, you know, make you
Yes.
think.
Yes.
And so I tend to play some of those, and believe it or not, it's relaxing because those particular type, I don't concentrate so much on trying to beat it.
Right.
I just sit with doing it.
It's so funny you said that because I had that on my list. Certain games, you have different games for different things. Sometimes you just need it. I'm just on Candy Crush. Just going, just doop, 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 doop. Just, or I have this one where you just pull screws out of a house. Doop. It's that simple. But other games, you know, are more stimulating, and I think it's good to have both because sometimes you need to turn your brain off. You can't be thinking. Sometimes you just need that mind-numbing Candy Crush. And other times you need like a puzzle, something you're solving something. I think it's good to have that duality.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I put it. It's like I want something that I don't have to think, and that's how I relax. If I don't have to think, I'm relaxing because, you know, for most students, you know, your mind is going 90 miles an hour already.
Oh.
So relaxation is it's elusive sometimes, but we have to be intentional to do that.
Right. And sometimes we get on our phones. It's like, let's scroll through social media. No, be with yourself. Be with that game. That's going to cause more stress in your mind, having all those different opinions that are outside of you. Just get on your little game. Sometimes it's good to not think about anything, I think.
Now, we're talking, you know, about games on the phone, but there are also other ways. One way that I realize that I often don't do is just walk. I called it, you know, how you Sunday drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I Sunday walk. And I will Sunday walk any day of the week when needed. And it's like aimlessly. And I have found myself, because I walk in a housing area mostly, and I found myself, okay, where am I? How do I get back to my street? Because I've lost myself and just to walk it all out. And then the refreshing when I get back, along with, some, sore tootsies, at the end of that. But the dump, it's like the dump has happened on that walk.
Right.
And you come back and it's like, okay, now I can start fresh. So that's what
I think
Yeah.
people think meditation is just sitting home with your eyes closed. No, walking by yourself in the peace and quiet, that's a form of meditation, I think.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is.
Yeah. I also like going on walks sometimes if I get like stressed or I feel like overworked or something like that, because sometimes forcing yourself to just go on a walk and be alone with your thoughts, that's a good way for you to actually work through the things that you're stressing about and try to break things down into problems you can actually tackle.
Yeah, nature brings a lot of clarity, I feel like.
Yeah.
It does.
It's been said many times. It's been said many times. And for those of you who like to run, my husband is one of those. He used to run to clear his mind. And I know a lot of people that do that. So if walking is not the thing, then go ahead and take that run.
And take off. 'Cause take off for both of us. I'm not running. Not running. That's
Oh yeah, and
right.
then you had actually mentioned something that we talked about at the lunch and learn today, which is about being busy. It's really easy to fall into the trap of like always wanting to be busy instead of always focus on like prioritizing what needs to be done, and that's something I tend to be guilty of. It's important to decide what you need to get done the most and then do what you need to do to get it done, instead of like feeling this like need to be doing something no matter what it is.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to not be busy. Be more productive than busy. That's what we learned at the Lunch and Learn today. Today, we had a great Lunch and Learn. We had Dr. Elizabeth Jennings with us. And yeah, it was a great Lunch and Learn. She taught us about unlocking your inner strength and balance and just learning how to balance your life. She had these things called the 3 C's of balance. One was clarity. And so that's just prioritizing your time so that you can look at it clearly, other people can see it clearly, and you set your intentions clearly. And then consistency, making those small habits like habits, doing them every day, being consistent with them. And then compassion, that if you cannot meet that consistency, have some grace for yourself, have some compassion for yourself, because, everybody's just out here trying. So I thought that was a great thing we learned today.
That's
For sure.
good.
Yeah, lots of beautiful lessons at the
That's
Lunch and Learn.
good. And the denominator in that I hear is being intentional.
Yes.
That's what I hear. The denominator is being intentional, because you have to be intentional to do all those 3 things.
It is. And it's crazy that you have to be intentional about relaxing. I feel like when you're a little bit younger, it's like, it's so easy to do, but you have to like make time. You have to tell yourself like, no, I'm going to relax now. I'm going to take a break. Like, you have to be intentional about those things to have balance in your life.
And you know what? You just said a key word. No. No is a complete sentence.
Yes.
Because we have to say no. We think a lot of times we have to say no to people. Sometimes we have to say no to ourselves.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to take on one more thing. No, I'm not going to finish that last paragraph. I'm spent. I'm going to relax. I'll come back to it fresh and knock it out.
Yep. Yeah. And it's so much better to come back to it fresh. It's like, that's a form of self-care. To talk about the next topic of self-care, that's a form of self-care, not putting yourself in the position to run yourself into the ground. Like that, boundaries with yourself, boundaries with other people, that's a form of self-care.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that was actually my favorite lesson that we talked about today at the Lunch and Learn, where it's important to try to help others, but before you can help others, you have to be good for yourself as well.
Absolutely. It reminds me of the flight attendant. Put your mask on first.
Yeah, exactly. How you saving somebody? You can't save yourself.
Yeah.
You gotta save yourself first.
You have to have oxygen enough to exert the energy to help the next person.
Yep.
And that's where relaxing and self-care come in.
Yep, absolutely.
Because, and I know we say on the spiritual side, you got to keep your cup full so you can pour. Because if you've poured everything out, then what do you have for yourself?
Nothing.
Absolutely
You're going thirsty.
nothing. And everybody else is too. Everybody
going
else is too. I like I so hate I missed the lunch and learn. But what I found on the self-care topic, I realized I didn't know a lot about self-care. I heard, you hear it.
It's a
and-
buzzword.
yeah, and and then it's what is attached to it, what you think is attached to it. The luxury, the
Right, getting your
spa,
nails done, getting facials. I don't have money for that.
massages and all of these things. But in actuality, is one of the words you said earlier, being with yourself. And to be with yourself doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot and doesn't take money, but to be with yourself and being aware of yourself is really what self-care is. And I like the fact that that's cheap.
Yes.
That's
It
very
is. It's a lot.
cheap. That's very cheap. And one of the other things I found, and I know the psychology students are going to love this. I found an article on Psychology Today, and the clinician states that we've lost touch with what it really means to take care of ourselves when we think it's got to be a lot of money and, going and doing, when actually when you got to go and do, you're in a hustle and bustle all over again.
You are.
Instead of relaxing and attending to yourself. So I had to take that into mind. It's like, you're right, because when I'm taking care of my family, I've left me on the back burner. But when I'm laid up in somebody's hospital or something, my family's going to struggle. Why? Because I didn't take time for myself. So it's being aware of yourself and taking that time is what I understand. You guys' thoughts?
Yes, you have to. I think self-care, it helps everyone around you. But, it is for yourself. And they do try to, especially this day and age, self-care. Oh, well, you have to get your hair done, your nails done, and this is self-care, and that's self-care. No, self-care can be eating a bowl of popcorn. Self-care can be laying on the couch. Like that, it can be a form of self-care. And I think everybody's self-care looks different too.
Right.
That's what's most important. Everybody's form of self-care looks different. And we can't begrudge people for taking care of themselves the best way that they can, I think.
She mentioned that in the article too, that we feel, we have the guilt of taking time for ourselves. But when we don't, we just get more and more thin. So I really appreciate this topic, even for me, that it's causing me to rethink some things, that how I purposely do things and having clear boundaries.
Yes, we gotta have them.
Yeah.
How do you feel about self-care, Mark?
I've definitely learned that I think the most important part of self-care is making sure you take at least a few minutes, even if it's just at the end of the day, to actually just give yourself time to think, no matter what you do to do that, no matter where you do it at. Sometimes you stay too busy because you have these things in the back of your mind that subconsciously you might want to avoid. But when you actually force yourself to think, there's a lot of emotions that you are able to get through, and then it can help you move forward past that, and then you end up starting the next day a lot better than you thought you could before.
I like that.
I like that a lot too. I think in those moments, because that's what I have written down, in those moments, it's important to be grateful. And I think like gratitude is like, it battles all that, like those dark feelings, being grateful, because sometimes you're like, I'm so busy, I have so much to do. And I tell myself, I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be busy, because there was times when the SAP appeals weren't going through, when the FAFSA wasn't going through, when times were hard, you have to sit out a semester and you're like, oh, this is the worst. Like, this is the worst. But having the opportunity to, I'm in this class and I get to write this project. I'm doing this at work and I get to do this. There's plenty of people who would want what I'm doing right now.
Exactly.
So be grateful for the position you're in. Even if it's a tough position, it's like, oh, I have all these bills to pay. I'm glad I got approved. Like, just be grateful. Be grateful for everything that you have, because that's how you find joy in the things you have.
Yeah, that's a good way to word it. Not I have to do this. I get to do this.
I get to. That shows the gratitude. And in the same token, you also are able to extend yourself grace at the same time when you don't get something done. It's like that. It brings in that grace. I get to do this, so it's okay. So I like that. I was going to say that. Thanks, Mark, for taking. Thanks. I'm glad you said it because I feel like I talk a lot.
No, I love that. You get to do something because sometimes it's just like, I have to. No, you get the privilege to do it, and it's great. It's a great thing.
Absolutely.
I think another important thing is not isolating yourself and surrounding yourself with the right people, you know, because sometimes there's people around you, especially maybe if you're younger, that, you know, they don't want to go to school or they don't have the same goals as you. And that's fine. I think it's good to be around diverse people who, you know, don't have the same goals as you, but you support each other.
Right.
People who support you in what you want to do, even if it's not what they want to do.
Yes.
And not isolating yourself because you think, oh, well, you know, they're different from me. No, like you're supporting them, they're supporting you. It's important to have that support system. And that is a form of self-care because being around the wrong people, that's a form of self-harm. Don't do that.
She said self-harm.
Don't do that. Yes. No, have self-care, be around the right people, put yourself in the right positions.
I like that. I heard probably a couple of years ago that you have your group of people for each thing. You have the group where you aspire to be like them. You have the group that y'all are all running the same race together and encouraging one another. And then you might have the group that's not where you are, but y'all have common ground somewhere. So that's where you feed each other. And so there's a group of people or persons for every place you are in your life, and just make sure, like you said, you're with the right group at the right time.
Right. Because you be around certain people, maybe they're more outgoing, they want to be outside, they want to be doing things. Well, you have to study. So maybe get you a study friend who you can study with. Like just having those people that, like you said, somebody for everything. You know, you wouldn't ask like your professor to be your dog walker. You have something for everything. So I think that's important too.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to bring up the student counseling and wellness center because it happened just a week and a half ago. I was heading back into this building and I saw a student come out and I noticed he looked like ridiculously happy. Like he had the biggest smile on his face, and I was wondering like what he could have been doing to be so happy. And then he surprised me when he talked to me, and he asked me if I had heard of the student counseling and wellness center, and he was talking to me about it, and he said how he went over there to talk to the people in there, and they helped them work through some stuff. And yeah, so him spending time in there made him happy enough to walk out with a grin on his face and feel the need to tell somebody about it as soon as he walked out the door.
And there is support there, like even outside of just like friends and stuff, like you said, there's the Student Wellness Center, there's the peer mentors here. Like there's support for everything, for sure.
That's crazy, because the last thing I had in my notes was to talk about the Student Wellness and Counseling Center and what it offers, because when self-care doesn't work, when relaxation doesn't work, then we have to go to the next step. And that's where the Student Wellness and Counseling Center can help. And so that's like crazy, a perfect segue. And don't think that that's the last resort either, because a lot of times the counselors I remember so clearly, the counselors want to see you before it gets bad, because maybe there's something that could be said to keep you from going further down the not so favorable path, if you will. So they want to see you before it gets bad. Right. They want to see you when it's just a little it's just a little rocky. They want to see you before that. And the things that what they can help with, it's a campus resource right here that can help students meet day-to-day challenges in responses to life changes, addressing anxiety and depression, relationship issues, and any other concerns. So I really appreciate your real life advertisement to let you know that it works. Talking with someone, talking it through does work.
And that's what they're here for.
Absolutely.
That's what they have them for. No, I think that is great. I think it is like Sometimes even having that support system of your peers, like that's great, but sometimes you do need more. Sometimes you need a professional to step in and be like, okay, because sometimes we're not thriving. We're just existing day to day. We're just existing day to day. And it's like, well, it's not bad because I'm not going to not go to work. It's not bad because I'm not going to go to, I'm still getting everything done. So it's not bad. No, it still can be bad because are you thriving? Are you happy in what you're doing? Or are you complicit just going day to day to day? And if you feel that way, there's people to talk to for sure. Absolutely.
That's good. I like that thought. It's definitely something to ponder. Definitely something to ponder.
All right, I think that's it. Are we good, guys?
I think we're good. I think I think we've given them enough nuggets. What about you?
I was thinking maybe I could talk about some of the stuff that I think has helped me more recently.
All right.
So one thing that I've realized is that I've been for the longest time I've been like trying to like battle with like staying up like on my iPad.
I feel this.
And I tried for the longest time. I would use like blockers. I would use all sorts of stuff to try to like force it onto myself in order to make it happen. But I think the day that I actually was able to succeed was realizing it was more of a psychological problem than a physical blocker kind of issue. It's important to remember that you may like the bad habits more than you realize, and you might have to actually, like when you're doing the thing you say you don't want to do over and over and over again, you might have to take a second and realize, okay, maybe I like doing this thing more than I thought I did. And then once you make that realization, it kind of sits in your head for a little bit, and from there, it's a lot easier to take action because you're kind of forced to look at yourself.
You're like, oh, I am choosing this every day.
Yeah, you're forced to look at yourself way more honestly than before.
Absolutely. That realization thing it's very important. And I feel like sometimes it has come at the perfect time for me because when I realized that I was the problem.
Yeah.
I was able to go, oh, okay, so it really is up to me to do something about it.
Right.
And you decide then, what action to take. And if you need help, you seek help. I tend to run things by my husband, so to say, or by a close friend or mentor. But that's when it's like, okay, yeah, it's time to take action.
Right. Because like you said, you can blame it on other things. You can be like, oh, it's because I was so busy with everyone else's stuff today. Now I have to stay up late to give some time for myself. Like we just said, oh, I need time for myself. I'm trying to have self-care. And now I have to stay up till midnight to get it. It's like, no, maybe you could have just did it for 30 minutes. You didn't have to stay up till midnight to do that.
Or you could have said no.
You could have said no. You could have said no at the beginning of the day and then had time for yourself. Like,
absolutely.
Maybe I am the problem. And I think, having the self-awareness, like we learned at the Lunch Alert, self-awareness is so important because that's going to open the doors to all your problems and solutions. Because it's not just problems, there's solutions. So once you have that self-awareness, you're like, oh, this is what can help me. Because not everything you hear, even today on this podcast, not everything you hear is going to help you. But having that self-awareness of knowing yourself, you can know what will help you and what won't.
And the ability to explore other options. Absolutely.
Right. Just because it worked for your mom or your cousin or your auntie doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And you got to, have that self-awareness to know that.
Yeah. And then I remember reading, I forgot which book, but in an old book that I had read, it talked about how this guy was able to help all sorts of different people with like taking action when they didn't want to, whether it's writer's block, getting work done, or anything like that. He told the people to tell themselves, okay, I'm going to do this thing I've been avoiding, but I'm going to do it as terribly as I possibly can. And then they did it, and then they realized they didn't do it nearly as bad as they thought they were going to do. There was like some like disconnect between doing the thing and then thinking about it, but then just thinking that you're going to do it as terribly as possible. They didn't realize it in the moment, but they were freeing themselves from all the bad thoughts and emotions behind starting the thing, and they were basically telling themselves that they're going to be okay with themselves, even if they can't do a good job, even if it's not the best that they can do. And after they made that realization, they were able to continue working from there.
I totally agree with that, even though it sounds like, why would you tell yourself to do something terribly? Because sometimes, especially like I feel like in this generation, there's a lot of pressure. People put pressure on themselves. So if you say, I'm just not going to do good anyway. I'm just going to try. But I'm not going to do any good anyway. Like maybe that takes the pressure off of some people to not be like, I'm going to do my best. And if I fail, it's just going to be horrible. No, I'm just going to try.
That definitely is an idea to attack perfectionism.
Yeah.
Because perfectionism, while it looks good in the end, but the process to get there. So I like that concept, because as you were talking, I was like, wow, it takes away the perfectionism and the perfectionist, and it allows you to get it down and look at it and see how it really is, because it may or may not need any tweaking at all.
Right. It might be better than what you thought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, we could think about that, about the papers we write and the projects we do.
Just get them done. Exactly. Actually, that's what my dad tells me. He's like, okay, but you turned something in, right? Don't just, I have this paper. Well, at least write a paragraph and turn it in. Turn something in. Apply yourself. Turn something in, because you'll be happier than just sitting there with that zero.
Absolutely.
You will.
Yeah, don't hold yourself to so high of a standard that you don't actually end up starting at all.
I like that.
That's a good thing. That is so good, Mark. That is so good.
I think that's so good. I think that's a place to...
That's a place to stop.
That's a place to end it, because he ate with that.
Yeah, mic drop. Because, nothing else even has to be said. So, you all enjoy your day.
Yes, I hope you guys have a great spring break, and we had so much fun talking to you guys. Anything you guys want to say to people?
Mark said it all, that last statement.
Thank you guys so much for watching The Warrior Way.
Thank you, everyone.